This week we start a new book, the book of Bamidbar, and we start with Parshat Bamidbar. It doesn't begin with a dramatic story or a moment of crisis, but with a count, the names, with identity, with belonging. The Torah tells us, "V'itchem yu ish ish lamate ish rosh lebeit avotav hu," and with you there shall be a man from each tribe, each one head of his father's house. And just a few psukim later, a few verses later, ואת כל העדה הקהילו באחד לחודש השני והתגלדו על משפחותם לבית אבותם במספר שמות מבין 20 שנה ומעלה וגולגלותם. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and declared their pedigrees after their families by the houses of their fathers, according to the number of names, from 20 years old and upward by their polls. And then, once more, "V'chanu bnei Yisrael ish al machaneu v'ish al diglo litzivotam." And the children of Israel shall pitch their tents, every man by his own camp and every man by his own standard, throughout their hosts. At first glance, this feels administrative, organizational, almost technical. But if we listen closely, something deeply emotional and deeply relevant is unfolding here. Shadal, Rabbi Shmuel David Luzzatto, a 19th century Italian commentator known for his sensitivity to language and human experience, explains that the leaders of each tribe were necessary to ensure that every individual was placed in their proper shevet, in their proper tribe, in their family settings, in their communities, preserving both truth and belonging within the nation. Shadal is telling us something subtle but powerful. Identity matters. Where you come from matters. Your story matters. And yet at the very same time, the Torah insists on something equally powerful. We're counted together. This tension between individuality and unity is at the heart of Parshat Bamidbar. I was recently at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York on a tour with Rabbi Dr. Meir Soloveitchik of the Spanish and Portuguese Synagogue in Manhattan. And we only went to 3 paintings, and he was giving us a tour. But one stood out, Immanuel Lutz's famous depiction of George Washington crossing the Delaware. What struck me wasn't just Washington standing there so dramatically. As Rabbi Soloveitchik said, it was the people in the boat. The boat's small, and inside it, there's a mix of individuals, a Native American, a Black man who, according to Rabbi Soloveitchik, was likely part of a known group of shipbuilders from the Chesapeake Bay, and then others, different backgrounds, different stories, different identities. And above them flies a flag that historically didn't even exist yet at the time of the crossing. So why include it? Because the painting is not just trying to document a moment. It's trying to express an idea that despite all their differences, there is a unifying force that brings them together. A shared vision, a shared identity, and a shared future. And that's exactly what we're seeing in Parshat Bamidbar. Each person is counted. Each person is placed betoch mishpato, betoch shivto, within their family, within their tribe. No one is blurred, no one is erased. But at the same time, they are all chelek min ha'edah. They are all part of the nation. Ish al machanehu v'ish al diglo. Each person with their own camp, their own flag, but all encamped Sviv HaMishkan, around a shared center, a shared core. This is the balance that defines Am Yisrael. We're not meant to be identical. We're meant to be united. And this feels especially meaningful as we approach Shavuot. For weeks now, we've been counting each day of the Omer, building toward that moment of receiving the Torah. And when we arrive at Shavuot, something beautiful happens. We don't arrive as a monolith. We arrive as a tapestry. Each community with its own customs, each family with its own traditions, each person with their own story. Some communities read Azharot, others Akdamot, some read Megillat Ruth, the scroll of Ruth, during the services, others divided between different moments. There are melodies that sound different from each other, from one synagogue to the other. And then there are the customs, that the minhagim that tell the story of who we are. Now, of course, you know I love exploring these. So in researching my new book about Shavuot, I came across a beautiful custom from Morocco. Communities would pour water on one another on Shavuot, evoking the idea that Torah is compared to water, life-giving, flowing, essential. Many communities eat dairy food, but some explain that Bnei Israel, upon receiving the Torah, were not yet fully prepared to observe the laws of kashrut for meat, so they ate dairy. Others connected to Avram Avinu, who served his guests milk and curds and whey, and then meat. Still others point to the verse in Shir HaShirim, Dvash v'chalav tachat leshonech, honey and milk are under your tongue. Each explanation adds another layer, another voice, another shevet. And this is exactly the point. We stand at Har Sinai not by erasing our differences, but by bringing them. Just as in the case of the desert, each tribe had its place, its flag, its identity. So too today, we are a people of many stories. Sfaradi and Ashkenazi, Mizrahi and Yemenite, Moroccan, Persian, Iraqi, Syrian, each with melodies, foods, languages, and lived experiences that shape how we connect to Torah. And yet, we all stood and we all stand at the same mountain. We all received the same Torah. There's something profoundly reassuring about that because it means you don't have to give up who you are in order to belong. And it also means that belonging comes with responsibility to make space for others, to learn from others, and to be curious about the other flag across the camp. Shadal reminds us that identity needs to be clarified and honored, but the Torah reminds us that identity is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of connection. So as we move toward Shavuot, I find myself asking, what does my shevet bring to the table? What traditions, what perspectives, what culture, what stories do I carry? And just as importantly, am I open to the richness of others? Because the beauty of Am Yisrael is not just that we're counted, it's how we're counted. Individually named, communally connected, diverse in expression, united in purpose. Like that small boat in the painting, so many different people held together by something larger than themselves. Or like the Bamidbar, the desert, where each tribe stood with its own flag, but all turned toward the same sacred center. This is our challenge, and this is our gift, to stand proudly in our place and to recognize that we're part of something infinitely larger, a people, a Torah, a shared destiny. Shabbat Shalom.